Game's official post-game show. Tech boat races, KU at home. Big time win tonight in the 806. I am your host, TJ Kern. That is my partner, Blake Hartsfield. Blake, the final score tonight from Lubbock, Tech 79, KU 50.
TJ, that was a fun one. It is not often that Kansas gets blown out and boat raced in the manner in which the Red Raiders were able to do that tonight at home. TJ, in a game that was never really competitive. The Red Raiders got out to a lead early. They put their foot on Kansas's throat early, and they never really let off. My guy, Darion Williams. I mean, this is the guy that I've been him and the big fella, which we'll get to him here in a few minutes. But those are the two guys that I've been beating the drum for all year. And my goodness, did Darion come through tonight? 30 points, TJ, a perfect game. 12 of 12 from the floor, 4 of 4 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, playing big, playing awesome. Can't say enough good things about that guy tonight. He was locked in and just an outstanding performance.
And I think he really showed what he's capable of. I mean, we've been giving him props for being the dirty guy, the gritty guy, the guy that's in there rebounding, the guy that's going to pass the ball really well, the guy that's going to, get you 8 to 10 points, right? And then boom, a 30 burger.
He's got a really unique game, man. I mean, he's kind of that undersized, big forward or under height, but plays big forward that can step out and hit the three when needed to, and just got a really kind of unique kind of throwback game. He can post up, guards on him that are smaller off of a switch, and if they put a bigger guy on him, man, he can just either drive right around him or shoot it over him. So he creates a lot of problems for other teams in terms of matchups. And then the big fella tonight, I thought, did a great job battling with Dickinson. Warren Washington, 11 points, 6 rebounds. Didn't really play the last 11 minutes after he tweaked his foot a little bit. Seems like he's going to be okay, though. Was able to play through it. Just can't say enough good things about this 2-game homestand, TJ. They got the ship right on Saturday against UCF in a tough one, and then just blow out Kansas tonight to get them to 7-4 in the Big 12. And TJ, I'm going to go ahead and say they're in the tournament. This was the lock, quote unquote, game. So they're no longer under consideration. I think that barring a total collapse, which isn't going to happen, this team's in the field.
And I don't want to hear any excuses from any Jayhawk fans that they didn't have Kevin McCullough, they didn't have another guy, right? Like they said it in the second half. Like their end of the bench guys are McDonald's All-Americans.
Yeah, and
I don't want to hear any excuses.
No, and what goes around comes around in this league, TJ. Tech had to play a tough stretch where they lost 3 in a row. Losing the home game to Cincinnati, going on the road, losing to Baylor, where Warren Washington was playing through the flu, didn't play in the Baylor game. Lamar Washington doesn't play. So, Tech has battled the injury bug and the illness bug. So it's nice to have something go your way. They also caught a break on Saturday with Diallo from UCF not playing. So, look, at the end of the day, they're 7-4 in the Big 12, 18-6 overall. And I think they're rounding into form, TJ. They seem to have weathered the storm a little bit from that 3-game losing streak and the flu literally rampaging through the team. But I think this is a team that can get to that magical 10 number we've talked about, and potentially even 11 or 12 Big 12 wins. So really encouraged from these last two.
And we talked about the tough week with Kansas and now going to Iowa State. And we talked about how just getting a win this week would be huge.
Yeah.
Well, check that off. And now you can go into Ames and really, give it your all and try to get to 2-0 on the week. I mean, that's going to be a tough place to play. We'll get into that here in a minute. But I want to point out a guy that we've been talking about a lot on our podcast and on these post-game shows as somebody that we've really wanted to develop, and he's given a lot of effort this year. Of course, I'm talking about DeSoto's own Robert Jennings. How about that breakaway dunk?
That was sweet. That was kind of a nice little exclamation point on the evening. Let the crowd kind of just, unload for one last final hurrah. But I think we've talked at length about how important Robert Jennings is, and his continued development and getting more and more comfortable with the system and more confidence in his game. They're going to need him, TJ, down the stretch in the Big 12. They're going to need him in the Big 12 tournament, and they're going to need him in March in the big tournament. Especially if they want to get through that first weekend and advance to a Sweet 16. Um, More than likely, Warren Washington at some point is probably going to pick up two fouls in a tournament game, or three fouls, and you're going to need Jennings to give you 5 to 10 quality minutes. So his development is crucial.
No doubt about that. This is the nation's post-game show. The Red Raiders win tonight 79-50 over the sixth-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Blake, we talked about it on our post-game, I believe, on Saturday after the UCF game. But, man, there's something about when the Jayhawks come to Lubbock. And I know there was a snowstorm out yesterday, and they promoted that this be a whiteout. But how about that crowd?
TJ, it's par for the course. I mean, yeah, the crowd was outstanding tonight, but I think even you and I were texting about it during the game. If they were when we were going to win the game, not to rush the court, right? And to me, that just the crowd and the maturity to just look at this as just another win on the schedule, as opposed to a decade ago we'd have been rushing the court for beating Kansas. Um, the whole thing evolution of the program and it is the crowd is part of that. And it's what you expect on a night in, night out basis, right? We have one of the best home courts in the Big 12, one of the best home courts in all of college basketball. So um, kudos to the crowd for an electric building tonight, but that's kind of par for the course in Lubbock now, TJ. We see that on a night in, night out basis.
Yeah, instead of us rushing to the court, it's Coach Grant McCaslin rushing to them.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a fun one. Cherish this one, TJ. I mean, again, I said it at the beginning of this post game, but Kansas doesn't get boat race like this very often. I mean, this is rare, and to be able to do that to that team, I look, and to your point, no excuses, right? Yeah, they didn't have Kevin McCullough. Kevin McCullough is not worth 29 points. Okay, he's not. Tech's winning that game if Kansas is at full strength, irregardless. So credit to Coach McCaslin. This was a big two wins, and TJ, they can go to Ames now, to your point, and play with house money. There's no pressure whatsoever going into this game in Ames. If you lose, shrug your shoulders. It's a tough road game in the Big 12. You're losing to a very, very good team, and move on to TCU at home next week. But no pressure on Saturday. They're completely going in with house money at this point.
And I definitely want to talk about the fact that Hunter Dickinson, who Red Raider fans may remember, didn't he have some kind of Twitter beef with Tech a couple years ago when he was at Michigan?
It's something to do with the TJ Shannon thing. He blamed Tech for TJ not making the admissions at U of M. Some course that wouldn't I don't know, but he
Yeah,
took
that's
shots
what
at
it was.
some course or credit that wouldn't transfer to Michigan's academic standards, and he made it out to be that Tech wasn't allowing TJ Shannon to transfer to the school of his choice, which was not the case at all. But I do remember him taking some shots at our program back then.
Well, Tech responded tonight with the big fellow Warren Washington and Robert Jennings holding Hunter Dickinson to 5 points and KJ Adams also to 5 points. You're telling me those two guys, without Kevin McCullough on the floor, only scored 10 points? I mean, what a defensive job by the Red Raiders tonight. Just great team effort.
Yeah, and the defense was good, TJ, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that Kansas just didn't play very well. I mean, they didn't shoot the ball well. Now, some of that is credit to Tech and the defense, but Kansas didn't play well. Tech played well, and that's how you end up with a boat race, right? You end up with a 29-point beatdown of, in my opinion, the premier program in the country. And look, the loss tonight doesn't change that. Kansas is still outstanding. They're the gold standard in this league. But it's fun to beat them, and it's even more fun to boat race them because it's such a rare thing.
Indeed. And the Red Raiders do get the victory tonight, 79-50 in a coast to coast boat race. Blake, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the game in Ames on Saturday. As we said, the Red Raiders kind of get to play with house money. And I am just really thrilled with where this program's at right now. Like you said, that this victory probably
They're in, and
their bid. I mean,
well,
regardless of the fact that, I mean, unless they just fall off the map or fall off the cliff, which we
yeah,
don't to happen.
No, it's not. And you'll start to see it over the next day or two. There's a couple of different people to call it a bubble watch where they'll go through and talk about players and they'll move teams into a lock status. A lot of the bracketologists on Twitter that you can go look up, the big guys will all move teams into a lock status. Tech has always been solidly in the field since probably after they won in Austin is when they moved into the field for most of the bracketologists, but I suspect this game will put Tech in the quote unquote lock status. Again, barring, like you said, the wheels totally falling off, but that's just not going to happen, TJ. As you start to look at this schedule, yeah, they've got the tough game in Ames on Saturday, but after that, that's really like kind of the end of their murderer's row, so to speak. I mean, I know no game in the Big 12 is easy, but you think about what they've dealt with that 4 game stretch against ranked opponents, 3 on the road, and then having to come home and host Kansas and go on the road to Baylor, et cetera, et cetera. You look at the rest of the schedule, TJ, after the Iowa State game, which we know that's a grindhouse, right? That's one of the toughest games on your schedule. But you get through, and again, house money, right? We talked about that. You get through that. TCU at home, that's a very winnable game. And I put the call in a couple of weeks ago. They were going to boat race TCU, and I will stand by that. At UCF, UCF's tough. We know that from just having played them, but that's not a place you're afraid to go play on the road. Texas at home, you got to feel really confident about that game after what you're able to do against them in Austin. At West Virginia, who's one of the worst 2 teams in the league. At Oklahoma State, who's one of the worst 2 teams in the league. And then you close with a Baylor team at home that I think is a gettable game in Lubbock. So you get through this Iowa State game, TJ, and the schedule gets a little bit more favorable for you. There's just no way that this team doesn't get 3 more wins at some point and get into the field.
So, yeah, I'm with you there. Excited to see what this coaching staff has done. Kudos to them. Kudos to the players. Kudos to Darion Williams tonight for the 30-point performance. And Blake, that'll wrap it up for tonight's post-game show. Once again, the Red Raiders get the victory in Lubbock, 79-50 over the 6th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Blake, how do we always get out of here?
Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em. We will talk to you guys next time. It'll probably be after Saturday's game. I'd imagine we'll work in a podcast here at some point. But yeah, just keep it locked here to the nation. We'll talk to you guys next time.